So now that we're through the bridge, we're heading to the closest fuel dock, which is about 5 miles away. And as usual, no matter which direction we go, we have the wind on the nose. Story of our lives getting through Greece. Either no wind or on the nose. After going to the first fuel dock that wasn't open, we were directed to Prevesa Marina, which is where we are now, and we're able to get diesel. So we're filling up before we head over to Italy. We've done an awful lot of motoring, so not surprising we need diesel. But this is the surrounding buildings of the harbour here. It's actually very, very pretty, very picturesque. And the yachts seems to be like a town harbour, but it's a marina, and the yachts line all along the walls, some of the rest of it. And the marina we first went to is across the bay, and they have a fuel dock, but it's closed. There's a yacht just coming out of its mid-mooring berth. Doesn't look like a charter boat, it has a radar on it, so assuming they're moving on the way we will be. Got an awful lot of chain out. Dropped the anchor pretty far out from the wall. Seems a little excessive, but maybe that's required. He's still hauling up his chain. Oh, there goes the anchor. That is a far way out. It's almost at this other dock here, where he dropped the chain. Anyway. So, change of plan. We got all the way to Paxos and we tried all the anchorages, and they were absolutely dreadful. They were either tiny, one boat could fit in, full of local boats, fishing pods everywhere, rocks, rock bottom, disaster. So we decided to continue on to Corfu, and as I pan round, this is sort of the bottom southeastern end of the island, and we've got about another hour or so to go. It's 7 o'clock in the evening. So we'll get in about 8, still plenty of daylight, the sun's still high in the sky, and we'll stay there the night. Our journey to Corfu Island was in a thunderstorm, which churned up the seas. Additionally, the wind and swell turned northeast straight into our chosen anchorage, which had every yacht bouncing around and made it extremely precarious to get ashore for a very late dinner. Fortunately, we were anchored in sand with plenty of swing room and directly opposite a very sturdy dinghy dock belonging to a highly recommended taverna, Panoramic, where we not only had the most delicious moussaka, but a chilled, alcoholic beverage, which we both desperately needed at this point. Today is Sunday, the 28th of May. After our fiasco of a day yesterday, we tried every anchorage there was on the island of Paxos and eventually gave up. And we came over to Corfu, got in about 9 o'clock last night by the time we were anchored. Got dressed, went ashore for a nice bite to eat, and in fact it was the most delicious moussaka we've had. It was really tasty. And this morning we woke up early and we are actually on our way up, further up the Corfu coast, heading to Corfu town itself, or city, I don't know what they call it here these days, but anyway, anchorage is sort of straight ahead. If we're not happy with that anchorage, we're going to move on to another one, but the idea is to clear in here and go get some groceries, have a look around, and then either move to stay at an anchorage further up tonight, clear out tomorrow, but we'll see. Those are the plans, but best laid plans is all I can say. So the fiasco from yesterday continues into today. We tried to anchor off the town of Corfu, and after 4 separate attempts in different areas of the anchorage, we had to give up. We couldn't get the anchor set at all. It was just covered in weed, and no matter what sandy patch we found, by the time the anchor dragged through the weed, it was no longer an anchor. So we're now trying to move up the coast further to the next bay. A little tired of all of this, to be honest, but hey ho. Hearing some screaming by, some foils. So after 3.5 hours of faffing around with anchorages this morning, this is where we've ended up. Not the prettiest of places, cruise ships. You can hear airplanes overhead. That's because we're close to the airport. And as I come around, you'll see the rest of Corfu to the north of us. And we have 3 other boats in the anchorage with us. But the good news is, this is a sand bottom we're holding. It's not busy, it's not crowded, may not be very picturesque, but it's practical. We've got to get to the customs office to clear out, and we need to get to a grocery store, and apparently there's a little, so we're going to go there. So we've come ashore to clear in, and tomorrow we have to clear out. But trying to find the customs or port authorities turning out to be tricky as always. But this is the port where all the cruise ships and ferries and everything come in. So this is the ferry terminal, and it's a car ferry, truck ferry, bus ferry, and everybody has to reverse onto it. So I'm just going to pan around, and here's this very large truck that is trying to back up onto it, but having to avoid all the cars going behind him just driving, and all the people just walking behind him too. Never mind trying to maneuver such a big truck onto a ferry. Definitely a skilled driver. I'd have trouble reversing my car onto here, but anyway, he's doing a stunning job. Massive ferries. And there he goes, he's on. Any main tourist centre, there's always the hop-on, hop-off bus. And this is the 3rd one that's arrived here and filled up. So we might do that, but maybe not. We decided to do the hop-on, hop-off rather than walk around town. Both a little fatigued right now. So we're just going to enjoy the sights. From the new port, where the 3 cruise ships and numerous ferries were docked, our tour took us past the old fort, where we had struggled to anchor, the new fortress, the Monrepos Palace, the ruins of the first Christian church, the Poliopolis Roman baths, and on to Canoni. Then followed the coastal road back to the entrance of the old fortress, the Isketo Gardens, Corfu Old Town, and Spilia Square. As we travelled through the town and surrounding areas, the audio guide provided some history on Corfu, known as Kokera in Greek, and owes its name to nymph Kokera, the daughter of the river god Aesopus. According to Greek mythology, Poseidon, god of the sea, fell in love with nymph Kokera, kidnapped her, and brought her to Corfu Island. Corfu Island forms the northwestern frontier of Greece. The island has a history marked by numerous battles and conquests over the centuries. The medieval castles, punctuating strategic locations across the island, are a legacy of these struggles, but made it one of the most fortified places in Europe, successfully repelling the Ottomans during several sieges. Corfu was never occupied by the Ottomans. It was, however, conquered by the Macedonians under the rule of King Philip II in 338 BC. From 300 BC, Corfu was successively attacked and conquered by Spartans, Illyrians, and Romans, the latter staying on the island from 229 BC to 337 AD. Corfu was also under Norman and Venetian rule until 1267, when Charles of Anjou, the French king of Sicily, took the island before it returned to Venetian rule again in 1386. In 1797, the island became part of the French state, before the British, who had already started to occupy the other Ionian islands, reaching Corfu Island in November 1815, following which the island came under British rule. Eventually, on the 21st of May 1864, the Ionian Islands were ceded by the British to the new King of Greece under the Treaty of London. Beside the island's history, the Mon Repos Palace has a fascinating history too. The villa was built from 1828 to 1831 as a summer residence for the British Lord High Commissioner Frederick Adam, while the island was under British rule, but rarely used as a residence for later British governors, although Empress Elizabeth of Austria stayed there in 1863 and later built the Acheulean Palace. After the union with Greece in 1864, the first king of Greece, George I of Hellenes, used it as a summer residence but renamed it Mon Repos, French for my rest. It was used by the royal family up until King Constantine II fled the country in 1967. Several royal births took place at the palace, including the late Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, who was also baptized at the palace, together with Princesses Sophia and Alexia of Greece and Denmark. Corfu Island is also known for its diverse and exotic trees and plants. As we drove around, there were plenty of lush green areas to be seen around the city, including numerous tree-lined streets. In 40 AD, Jason and Sosipatros, two disciples of St. Paul, brought Christianity to the island and built the first Christian church, which they dedicated to St. Stephen. While we enjoyed seeing the old and new fortresses, the ancient ruins, the beautiful gardens, and the pretty homes painted in pastels, these were interspersed with run-down, dilapidated buildings, giving the city a grubby feel, the worst of which was in the old town. The majority of the beautiful old Phoenician buildings portraying the Phoenician architecture were not maintained at all and in complete disrepair. Such a pity compared to the old towns of Panama and Antalya we so enjoyed. Corfu stayed under Venetian domination for 4 centuries, bringing the Venetian architecture, culture, language, music and cuisine to the island. Operatic music and playing a classical instrument has remained an integral and important part of life on the island, where children learn to play an instrument from a very young age. The city was also busy, noisy and congested, and to be honest, we didn't feel like we were on a Greek island. We could have been in any city anywhere in the world, making this our least favorite stop in Greece. Today is the 29th of May, it's a Monday, and we were up early to go to the port police to clear us out of Corfu, and then onto customs to clear us out of Greece. We did all that, and then we got a taxi to one of the supermarkets. It's a little store which is well known in the UK, and got our groceries, got back to the boat, unpacked everything, weighed anchor, and we are underway. So this is coming through the top end of Corfu. To our starboard side is actually Albania. But anyway, we are continuing on around the top end of Corfu and down a little bit of the west coast, and from there we'll anchor for the night, and from there we'll set sail for Italy. On our starboard side, this is the coastline of Albania. A few little villages along the way, and then there's a large city. I'll try zoom in, I don't think you'll see much, but it looks very ex-Soviet Union with the buildings, to be sure. And anyway, as I pan around, you'll see it's just as mountainous as we had in Greece and Turkey. We rounded the top northeastern corner of Corfu, and we're just cruising along, motoring here along the northern coast. It's actually very picturesque as well. Lots of little towns and villages along the way, and a few nice beaches that we've seen. But any of the anchorages here would be untenable for the most part because of the prevailing winds. We're continuing along the coastline of Corfu Island, and as we're coming to the far northwest corner, these are the beautiful lime cliffs that are actually here. Just going to pan around and see the beaches as well, and that's the top northwestern point of Corfu, which we're going to go around and down the west coast a little bit. But yeah, very picturesque. Come around the corner to the western side of Corfu, and these beautiful limestone cliffs continue around. So this is around on the west side, coming down Corfu, and there's a nice little village town on the coast here, and as I come around there's a headland which we'll see, and our anchorage is on the other side of that, so hopefully it'll be nice and calm. The sea state is calm this afternoon, a very light wind, so hopefully we'll be fine for the night. But this is our last port of call in Greece. We leave for Italy tomorrow morning early, and this really has to be one of the nicest anchorages we've been in since we arrived in Greece. It's absolutely stunning. The scenery, the beach. It's obviously got hotels and apartments along the coast. I'll just go to the other. Here's the rest of it. It's a big long golden sandy beach, which we are going to go and have a nice walk on, and the temperatures have definitely increased, so we might actually stick our toes in the water. It really is stunning. Come all the way around, and that's it. Nice big horseshoe bay. Once settled, we beached the dinghy, enjoyed a walk along the golden sandy beach before choosing San George Food Bar, one of the many boutique hotels, bars, restaurants and cafes running along the beachfront, for a sundowner and celebratory drink, the latter in lieu of the fact that we had made it through Greece before our cruising permit and transit log had expired, saving ourselves a substantial amount of money on import taxes. A delicious dinner was then enjoyed at Kali Orexi before returning to Porpo for a hot shower and early bedtime. It had been another busy day, and we had a very early start in the morning.